Jack Johnson is Senate Majority Leader here in the state of Tennessee. And Jack, always great to have you on the program. And a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. I love living in Tennessee. One of the great things about Tennessee is our great leadership. And you folks in the state legislature, very conservative on a lot of the things that you bring to the table. Let's talk about this. I thought this was fascinating yesterday, where the state of Tennessee is now looking to expand the list of criminal offenses not eligible for bail. And so let's talk about that first off, because I read through this, and this does make all the sense in the world. But talk about number one, and then we'll get into specifics. Why is the state legislature doing this?
Hey, good morning, Dan. Always good to be with you. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, we have a problem in Tennessee, and a lot of folks might not be aware of it. Our Constitution, our state Constitution, which was the one we're under right now, was adopted in 1870. It includes language that says the only crime for which you can be denied bail. Okay, so if you're a violent criminal out there and you commit a crime, you go before the court, and the court's going to decide how much bail you have to put up in order to get out of jail while you're awaiting trial. The only time they can deny bail is if you're charged with capital murder, first-degree murder. So if you've got someone who's charged with multiple counts of rape or child rape or kidnapping or assault, a judge in Tennessee is forced to give that person bail no matter how violent, how much of a threat they believe that they are to society. So House Speaker Cameron Sexton and I proposed a constitutional amendment that will be before the voters in November of next year for ratification, and we hope the voters will ratify it, to say no, judges can deny bail for other violent people who are charged with violent crimes. They don't have to deny bail, but the judges will have that option when they deem that person to be a threat to society.
So I guess the question is, number one, what is your opinion on these judges actually doing this? Because it seems to me like all the things that you just mentioned, they are horrific crimes. And I don't know how these things work. Have you had any input from, judges across the state of Tennessee as to how they would react to such a thing?
Not only judges, Dan, but also the district attorneys conference. And they are overwhelmingly supportive of this constitutional amendment. Because we can cite case after case when we were presenting this through the committee system and through the legislature, because the way we amend our Constitution, the legislature passes a resolution, has to pass through two different general assemblies, including one by at least a two-thirds vote before it can go before the voters for ratification. We had people testify and give specific examples of where someone who had a lengthy criminal history of violent crimes, and then they're charged with maybe it's just second-degree murder, or maybe it's assault or aggravated assault, and the judge felt like that this person shouldn't be out on the streets, but they had to give them bail. Now, they can set the bail very high. They can give people a very high bail, but some people will have the ability to satisfy that and get back out on the streets.
So Heidi Campbell, I'm just reading this article. Heidi Campbell says, a Democrat, it is an extreme and alarming move on our part away from freedom, she says. It's going to create a lot of injustice, she says. How have the Democrats been reacting to all of this? I mean, clearly, that's what Heidi Campbell's reaction is.
Well, first of all, and forgive me, I don't remember the number of states. I think it's over half of the states in the country, judges are allowed to deny bail for other types of violent crimes. So if it's so extreme, we have a number of other states that currently have this. Mm-hmm. Tennessee is a bit unique with this prohibition, but it's not uncommon. Those on the left siding with violent criminals over the citizens of Tennessee and keeping our communities safe.
Any cost associated with this? Is this you're going to have people, who should, and frankly, be in jail and not eligible for bail? Is there a worry about the cost associated with this?
So the fiscal note was not significant. We attach a fiscal implication to anything we do in the state of Tennessee, and it was not significant. We've had conversations with our sheriffs who run our jails all across the state, and we'll be monitoring that. The good news is, Dan, is that we don't have a tremendous number of these types of violent crimes being committed. They do happen. We know we've got a crime problem in Memphis down there. That's a different story that I'm glad that you guys have talked a lot about. But luckily, there aren't that many instances where this will probably apply. But when it does, when you have that individual who's charged with a serious violent crime and has a violent criminal history, we need to untie the hands of our judges and allow them to make a decision when appropriate to deny bail. And I want to be very clear. All of the appeals processes are still in place. If a judge is denying bail to people and they shouldn't be, they can appeal to the Court of Criminal Appeals. We're protecting due process here. This isn't going to lead to just rampant people being locked up because they're charged with a crime. But when the judge makes a determination that individual is a threat to the community, they need to be able to hold them while they await trial in order to keep our community safe.
Well, and we always hear, and recently here with this murder of 4 people, I think that was a week or two ago now, and so you always hear about these folks that they get out of jail, they're on parole, bail, whatever it is, and they do these heinous things. And so I personally think that this is a great idea. All right, so let me ask you about this lawsuit that is going on there in Williamson County. And apparently what happened is there is a biological boy who identifies as a girl, was actually allowed to participate in a girls-only sex education class for 7th graders. I mean, how does this happen?
Well, Dan, we've talked extensively, and I know you've talked with other members of the General Assembly about this. Tennessee has been one of the leading states in the nation in terms of getting this woke garbage out of our schools. We several years ago, we banned biological boys playing in girls' sports, whether it's at the K-12 level or at the collegiate level. We banned allowing biological boys to use girls' locker rooms or bathrooms. We've done that in Tennessee. As you know, I led the effort to protect children from transgender surgeries, and that went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and we won. Tennessee has been a leader in trying to drive common sense. This is a situation where I think the school did not adhere to the spirit and the letter of the legislation that we passed, and that is we recognize 2 genders in the state of Tennessee, male and female, and we're not going to compromise the integrity or the values of many other girls who wanted to attend or their parents wanted them to attend this particular very sensitive education relative to family life. And have a biological boy sitting there. So I have not spoken with anyone at the Williams County school system, and I certainly want to hear their side of what transpired there. But we can't allow this to happen, and I think it is a violation of laws that we've passed. And if it's not, then we will fix that when we go back into session.
And I guess the question is, so if the school is put in this position, could they have and be protected? Could they have said, I'm sorry, but this boy cannot be in the room with girls during the sex education classes? And would the school have been protected from a lawsuit that no doubt would have come from the family of the boy?
Well, not only do I think they would be protected, Dan, and to be clear, I'm not a lawyer, but not only do I think they would be protected, I think that they were legally bound to prevent that biological boy from being in that class with biological girls, talking about things that are very sensitive in terms of sex education, family life, and that type of thing. So, yes, I think they would have been protected, and I think that they were legally bound to. Now, the courts can decide that, but I can promise you this. When we reconvene our legislative session in January, we'll take a look at this, and if we need to tighten up the statute relative to this specific type of instance, we will certainly do so.
All right, very good. And we've got about a minute left. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson joining us. What can we look forward to in January when the state legislature reconvenes? What's on the top of your priority list?
Well, as you know, we're very excited about a lot of the things going on in Washington with President Trump, the DOJ, reforming Medicaid, reforming SNAP benefits. You guys have been covering, and other media outlets have as well, that Governor Lee has applied for a waiver to make sure that we're not using SNAP benefits to buy sugary drinks and candy and things of that nature. So I think we're going to be very, very eager to get back into session and make sure that we're fully compliant and cooperating with the Trump administration and all the reforms that they're pursuing at the federal level, because I'm excited about them. And again, I want Tennessee to be a leader in supporting President Trump and making our country and our state great again.
All right. As always, Jack Johnson, thank you for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News. Have a great rest of week.